The simplest level of cellular organization is a single-celled organism, and the most complex level is a multicellular organism like you or I. In between these two levels, we have biofilms and colonies. So let's start with the simplest one. We have a single-celled organism that floats freely and lives independently. Its single cell is able to carry out all the processes of life without any help from any other cells. And then we have a biofilm. A biofilm is a thin layer of bacteria that sticks to a surface. Cells in a biofilm are all alike, but they may play different roles, such as taking in nutrients or making the glue that sticks the biofilm to the surface. The sticky plaque that forms on teeth is a form of biofilm of bacterial cells. Some single-celled organisms, such as algae, live in colonies. A colony is an organized structure composed of many cells. So on the next slide, you'll see a Volvox sphere. Volvox are algae that live in colonies of hundreds of cells. All of the cells in the colony live and work cooperatively. For example, they can coordinate the movement of their flagella, allowing them to swim together through the water as though they were part of a single organism. And finally, we have multicellular organisms. A multicellular organism consists of many cells and has different types of cells that are specialized for various functions. And it's important that you remember that. Multicellular organisms contain specialized cells for various functions. All the cells work together and depend on each other to carry out the life processes of the organism. Individual cells are unable to survive on their own. So in a multicellular organism, one group of cells performs a function for all the cells. And no one cell can just go off and live on its own. They must remain part of the whole in order to survive. Here we have an example of a colony. It's a Volvox colony. Volvox cells live in a colony shaped like a hollow ball. The cells of the colony may be connected by strands of cytoplasm and can function together. For example, the whole colony can swim from one place to another, acting as if it was just one big organism or small organism. Scientists think that multicellular organisms evolved when many single-celled organisms of the same species started to work together and benefit from the relationship, similar to what I just described as a colony. The oldest known multicellular organisms are algae that lived 1.2 billion years ago. As multicellular organisms continued to evolve, they developed increasingly complex levels of organization. Today, there are multicellular organisms at all levels of organization, from the simplest cell level of organization to the most complex organ system level of organization. Consider these examples. First, sponges have cell-level organization in which different cells are specialized for different functions, but each cell works alone. For example, some cells digest food, while other cells let water pass through the sponge. That's cell-level organization. Next, jellyfish have tissue-level organization, in which groups of cells of the same kind that do the same job form tissues. For example, jellyfish have some tissues that digest food and other tissues that sense the environment. Next, we have roundworms that represent organ-level organization, in which two or more types of tissues work together to perform a particular function as an organ. For example, a roundworm has a primitive brain that controls how the organism responds to its environment, organ-level organization. And finally, human beings have organ system level of organization, in which groups of organs work together to do a certain job, with each organ doing part of the overall task. An example is the human digestive system. Each digestive system organ, from the mouth to the small intestine, does part of the overall task of breaking down food and absorbing nutrients. So, to start at the beginning, we have cell-level organizations where each cell works alone. Then we have tissue-level organization where groups of cells doing the same job work together. Then we have organ-level organization where groups of tissues work together to do the same job. And then we have organ systems where we have groups of organs working together to perform a task. And as a summary of this presentation, first, the plasma membrane is a phospholipid bilayer that supports and protects a cell and controls what enters and leaves it. Number two, the cytoplasm consists of everything inside that plasma membrane, including the watery cytosol and the organelles. The cytoplasm suspends the organelles and does some other jobs. Next, the cytoskeleton crisscrosses the cytoplasm and gives the cell an internal framework for both structure and for transport or moving vesicles around the cell. The nucleus is the largest organelle in a eukaryotic cell and contains most of the cell's DNA. Other organelles in eukaryotic cells include the mitochondria, the endoplasmic reticulum, ribosomes, Golgi apparatus, vesicles, vacuoles, and centrioles in animal cells only. Each type of organelle has important functions in the cell. I do want to add here, though, that the ribosome and the vesicles are not organelles. They're structures. An organelle has to be something that's membrane bound. And while the vesicle has a membrane, is surrounded in a membrane, prokaryotic cells have vesicles. Prokaryotic cells have ribosomes. Now, the ribosome is not membrane bound. So both the ribosome and vesicles are considered structures, not organelles. Then, plant cells have special structures that are not found in animal cells or other eukaryotic cells, including a cell wall, a large central vacuole, and organelles that we call plastids, such as chloroplasts, chromoplasts, and leucoplasts. Cells can exist independently as single-celled organisms or with other cells as multicellular organisms. Cells of multicellular organisms can be organized at the level of cells, tissues, organs, and/or organ systems.